think it was him addressing that he did commit a crime. He did own up to it, and that he is so anti-drug now that he could be a prosecutor. He will not commit any crimes. He will not be back in prison. And I can't wait so I can give him a hug.
What?
Can't wait.
I'm sure you've dreamt about this day.
Yes.
What do you?
I wish my dad was here. I wish our dad was here.
What do you envision when you first see him and your family gets together? What do you envision? What do you want to say to him?
Cry. I love you. I love you. You know, I'll probably say that 100 times. But it's going to be a long overdue day, and I can't. I won't be able to sleep till I see him. It's going to be just the best day ever.
Now, your mom is here. She's just a few feet away, and we're not going to put her on live television. I don't think any mother, she's got enough to balance right now. Right. But you've been, I'm looking at her emotion in her face. What's going, I know she's shared some of her thoughts with you. What do you think she once said?
She, regrets that he's been away so long, and that she's aged and, can't do things that she could have when he was younger and with his children and him. And, they just do what they can and take it slow. And if he's got to push her in the wheelchair, then that's what it is. But I'm sure he'll do it.
Obviously, there's a next step. We're talking about Florida. Yes. What are your thoughts about that in terms of a possible whether or not he has to serve time or not in Florida?
I'm praying that they will change the sentence to concurrent instead of consecutive. In the course of the time that it takes to get his paperwork done to get him out of the Michigan system.
Do you feel confident about that?
I do. I really think that Florida's going to say, you know what, this guy's had enough, and let him go home.
And I think obviously the whole nationwide spotlight on this has also changed in terms of putting accountability on the prison system too, in terms of what's adjusted.
Okay. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, he's the only one in Michigan that's done more than almost double the time anyone else has done. And for whatever reasons, I thank the parole board for paroling my brother today.
Thank you. I'm going to let you go back, hug your family. We'll be talking with you in a little bit, but Kevin, I'm going to send it back to you on this latest breaking information. Kevin?
Thanks, Karen. Obviously, a lot of emotional reaction from the Wershey family. And I'm here with Gabby Wershey, Rick's niece, definitely the closest person to Rick. You talk to him every single day. I was at the hearing in 2003, but then I kind of lost track of Rick and his case. And then about 2014, I dug back in. And when I did, I was surprised. Nobody was really talking that much about his story. No. But now, everyone is talking about why is he in there? In the parole board, why is the parole board keeping him in there? And there's a movie being made. And Matthew McConaughey is going to play his father in this movie. I mean, what has this been like for the family as this has turned into a national, international story?
It's definitely, I would like to say it's brought more positivity and optimism to the family in hopes that today we would finally get the news that we've been long waiting for. With the publicity, that also brings bad, and people, you have people who want to bring you down. But out of it all, I would say 99% of it has all been people who are behind him and on his side and want to see him freed.
I think one of the things that really strikes me and Rick is that a lot of people never knew that he was 14 years old. He's in 8th grade, and the police come to him, and the FBI come to him, and they start giving him money to find out who the drug dealers are in the neighborhood. And beyond that, they actually taught him how to go in and buy drugs so that the police would know who the drug dealers were, and once they would know there was a buyer there, they could do their police raids.
Right.
He was taught how to be a drug dealer.
By the police.
By the police.
Yes.
Right?
Knowing that, you're so, as a teenager, you're so open to take in what you're around and your surroundings. So it's no surprise that he wound up in the situation that he did after being put into that atmosphere as a teenager, an adolescent.
And no one's saying that he doesn't deserve to do prison time. He was dealing drugs, but he also cooperated with police to put cops away. And and it seems like that was all lost. Like he wasn't getting any benefit for how he got into the drug business and the help he gave police.
No, not at all. They didn't. They promised things that weren't given. He wouldn't be where he is if they had. and for all of his cooperation over the years, he got nothing.
All right. Well, thank you so much for
Thank
joining us.
you,
We're going to
Kevin.
have much
Yes.
more, and this is going to continue on Facebook. So actually, if you stay with us, we're going to continue this on Facebook. And I wanted to mention that Rick Wershey's attorney, Ralph Musilli, is going to be coming down here shortly, and he is really going to dig into this whole issue of when Rick gets out and how Rick gets out. If Florida forgives his sentence, then he's going to be allowed to leave the Michigan prison and be free. But Ralph Musilli is going to have to go down, and he's going to have to fight. He's going to have to get with the state attorney general and the county prosecutor, and he's going to have to convince them somehow to change the sentence, because as it stands right now, he has to go down to Florida.
Yes.
So we're going to continue this conversation all day. Right now on Facebook, we'll be back at noon, 4, 5, and 6, and 11 on Local 4. The parole board has voted to release Rick Wershey. Thank you for joining us.
We're going to continue online.
And we're still up. Okay, so we're on Facebook now.
Okay.
A little more casual, but still lots of people tuning in
Yes.
and watching this. So, you know, what happened when you saw that word? I think we put up the graphic right here. White boy Rick freed. I'm sure you hate white boy Rick, but Rick Wershey freed.
Seeing that sitting in the room back there, and you glance up and see that it says freed, and I didn't know what to think at first. You know, is that accurate? Is that the verdict? And knowing that it was, and I couldn't control my emotions.
It's like exhaling or something.
Yes,
Or just
knowing that finally he can be out and live his life and see his grandchildren grow up. I have a 10-month-old daughter. See family that he hasn't seen in years. Get to really enjoy his life.
When people ask me all the time, and they always say, you know, what is he like? And I said, look, this is not some thug. This, and to me, I sort of feel like he's sort of still 17 at times, you know.
Yeah.
I have no idea what it would be like to be locked up like that. But he really cares about his family. He
Yes.
really cares about his friends.
He's a very genuine person. You don't come across many people like him, and he will go with above and beyond to help anyone with what's in his reach. His mental stability, I don't know how he stayed so sane being in jail, and even when I'm down sometimes, and speak with him, just his positivity, and it's okay, you know, you can do it, you pull through it. There's another day tomorrow, you start fresh.
And that's, I think, one of the reasons so many people are behind him. You know Greg Schwartz, right? He's an FBI agent who worked with Rick Wershey on Operation Backbone. Greg Schwartz came in and asked Rick to help him bust dirty cops and drug dealers, and Rick did that. And to this day, Greg Schwartz talks to Rick probably once or twice a week.
Oh,
Greg Schwartz doesn't have to do that. He could have got his bust and moved on.
Right.
Describe some of those relationships.
He's built many great relationships over the years. Simple as he's a great person, but knowing these people, you know, like you said, Greg Schwartz, and other people have put him in contact, or people have reached out to him and just realized what a great guy he is. Even from jail, the things that he's done behind bars to help others and help the community and give back.
You know, let's talk about that for a minute here. So Rick Wershey is in prison. He feels that he's been in 15 years too long. Most people would be very angry about that, and I'm sure he is. But Rick Wershey, for years, has run a charity, or helped to run a charity, where they collect money at Christmas time, Thanksgiving time, and in the summer, where they raise money to buy food
Yes.
in the very same neighborhood where he grew up.
Yes. Oh, yes. We drop off truckloads, gift cards, food, toiletries, and drop them off to the church. Where in his childhood neighborhood where he grew up, they disperse those out to families who are in need, and it's a great thing. He likes to see that, giving back to a community that has changed so much, and once he gets out and realizes how much it changed, I think it's only going to make him want to give back and help the community even more.
23 hours a day in a cell. It could drive anybody mad. He works in the laundry and does get 4-hour work shifts, like 4 times a week.
Yes.
He gets 1 hour of exercise a day that he says he desperately needs. But he also paints, doesn't he?
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about
Paints and
that.
draws. Since I was a young kid, he's always had artistic side of him, and sending pictures or T-shirts, ceramics from prison to us kids. Our birthday cards are always extravagant and have a beautiful drawing on them. He started doing drawings for charity or auctioning them off to help as well, or sending them to people who have helped him along the way. They're beautiful, beautiful. He's very artistic.
What kind of, are we getting any feedback from people? Anybody have any questions? It's been such a long journey, and it seems each time that you get hopeful, the door gets slammed shut on you.
Yes.
And that's just it's so difficult to see. But now finally,
knowing that there's no more what's the word I'm looking for? No more down to this. There's no downside to this anymore. It's knowing that there's an end date for him, regardless of what happens with Florida.
Right.
If he has to go and serve the time, you have to serve the time. But knowing you can count down the days and you'll be a freed man.
You know, can we throw to Rick's interview from yesterday? We have a 3-minute. Oh, I'm sorry. Before we do that, let's just read this. This is a statement from Kim Worthy, the Wayne County prosecutor, who had opposed Rick Wershe's release for a long time, and then just last year, after a series of stories here on Local 4, she said that she had changed her opinion or softened it. It was going to stand on the sidelines and let the parole board decide without any input from her. Today, her statement is, the position of the Wayne County Prosecutor's Office is that this is a decision that has been made by the parole board and that we have no further position. We respect and accept the decision of the parole board. So short and simple. You know how important this was.
Yes.
If Kim Worthy's office had been as aggressive as the Wayne County Prosecutor's Office has been the past 15 years, this would have been a different debate in that parole room.
If Kim Worthy was there, yes.
I mean, I know, I'm sure that you guys feel that law enforcement should have worked to get him out sooner, and I get that. But how important was it that law enforcement, not just Kim Worthy, but all of law enforcement, stepped aside and said, we're not gonna weigh in?
I think taking in all the factors, finally realizing this man's been in jail his whole life. He went away as a teenager. He's now a grown adult. And seeing the case laid out for everyone and how much he's assisted law enforcement and helped put away different, people who broke the law. And he accepted what he did. He never denied that he did it. He accepted it.
Yeah, this is a document from 2003 when they unanimously denied parole after that hearing. It says just flat out that by far the biggest reason was the opposition from the Wayne County Prosecutor's Office, the U.S. Attorney's Office, Drug Enforcement Agency. It also says that some officers and law enforcement supported him, but that was not here this time. There was no opposition, and the parole board really had very little to look at in a negative sense. So we're going to go to a 3-minute interview that I did with Rick yesterday. It was his feelings before the vote, but let's hear what he had to say just prior to the vote.
I've done everything I can do, and I don't see what any more time in here would serve. I've served 29 years and 7 months.
And now being this close, what is the waiting like?
The waiting is, honestly, I would have to say it's the worst. You go through the process, and the waiting is the most stressful part. You you replay things in your head over and over. And of course, in here you have so much time on your hands. So when you're sitting in your cell, you dwell on things. And to be honest, it's hard to get any sleep.
I asked you this once before when the day before the sentencing, the resentencing, Dana Hathaway's, that never happened. But if this vote goes the way you want it to, how will you feel?
A 1,000-pound weight has been lifted off of my chest. I mean, I'll be elated to get what's left of my life back and be able to go and spend time with my family and friends and my nieces and nephews, my kids, my grandkids. I mean, keep in mind that I've been in here so long that I have a great niece that I've never met. I have 5 grandkids that I've never met. So I'll be overwhelmed with joy.
And when you get out, you just want to do normal things, right?
Yeah, of course. Again, the first thing, one of the first things I want to do, Kevin, is I want to go visit my grandmother and grandfather's grave and, tell them that I made it out of here. And, then I want to go visit my buddy Steve's grave and leave him something on his grave and, then try and get back to whatever normalcy I can in my life.
Does it even run through your head that they might say no?
Absolutely, it runs through my head. I mean, I wish I could say that it didn't, but absolutely, I've been turned down so many times and had the door shut so many times when I thought it was open that absolutely, that's the stressful part. If I knew that they weren't going to say no, I wouldn't be stressed out. That's the stress of the whole situation.
And so you're stuck just waiting, I guess, and waiting still.
Yeah, you're in limbo. You're waiting, and your life is in these 10 people's hands, and you hope that 6 of them have the compassion and to realize the mistakes I made were as a kid. And
so that was Rick Wershey yesterday before the vote. Now, of course, the vote has come in, and the parole board has voted to parole Richard Wershey, to release him from that life sentence. And we now know that Richard Wershey, of course, has been notified by the parole board. So he is aware that he has been paroled, and he was able to make a phone call out to his attorney's office. So at least the word is starting to trickle out about how he must feel, and what a call for Ralph Masilli's office to get.
Finally, yes. I can't imagine. I'm sure the office is celebrating and overjoyed with the news. I can't wait for him to call and for me to actually be able to speak to him and hear that in his voice and finally feel that he's at ease knowing that this is behind us.
Yeah, and they've been working very hard to try and get this done, and their work's not done either. Besides the Florida situation, let's talk a little bit about the 30 to 90 day processing out process. So what the Michigan Department of Corrections wants to do is they want to find out what's Rick going to do if they let him out. So he's got to have a place to live, he's got to have a place to work, and obviously we'll never say where those things are because his safety is an issue too. Right. But how do you feel about his ability to find a place to live, to find work?
We have lots of family, or he has friends that have outreached to him and told them they will open their doors to him. I will open my doors to him. So he definitely has a place to stay. As far as work, he's had numerous job offers, and I think as a man, he hasn't had any work experience. He did take college courses while he's been in prison, but I think he's ready to get out and get his hands dirty and see what he can actually do and what he's capable of.
I get the feeling that he's kind of looking forward to it.
Yes.
Yes. This is something that probably most people don't understand if you don't know someone who's served a lot of time. But when you talk to Rick, prior to the release, anyway, prior to this vote, he's never really been too worried about what Florida does. It sounds crazy, but when you think about, he may have to go to 22 months, and he's like, I have no problem with, I don't want to do 22 months,
Right.
but I have no problem with 22
Right.
months. What is that? How does that happen?
Like I said, just knowing that, you know, a life sentence is scary. He thinking that he could be in there growing old, you know, or possibly die in prison. It's a scary thought. So knowing 22 months, knowing that is nothing compared to thinking you're going to spend the rest of your life in prison.
And think about that. Here he is now. He knows where he stands. He's been granted parole. He knows Michigan is done with him. He's served his time in Michigan. Think about how his attitude changes now. Think about how much he has to live for now that he knows Michigan is behind him.
I mean, he has the world in his hands, you know, and looking forward to getting out and spending his time with his family and living a normal life. A normal life, seeing his grandchildren that he's never seen, and getting a job. He's never had an actual job.
Right.
You know, just doing your normal everyday activities. Driving a vehicle, it's a cell phone. Anything's going to be a huge.
Yeah, let's talk about that. He said he goes if I got out today, Kevin, I wouldn't be able to give you a call. But they did give him a tablet recently.
Yes.
So what's he learning on that? How will that help him?
Well, you know, he can receive pictures and emails on that. So he's pretty. He was pretty psyched out. He called me. He's like, you know, I sent him a picture of my daughter, and he goes, well, you know, I can zoom in on it. What is that? I'm like, yeah, you can zoom in on pictures, and he goes, oh, I see the dog in the background. So it's all so new to him, and I mean, emails, he's adjusting to emailing, so that's a plus. Emails are everything nowadays.
And honestly, you know, Rick is he's a little bit scared about getting out. I'm not talking about his safety, which is a whole other issue, but he's a little nervous that the world is going to be moving a lot faster than it was in 1988 when he went to prison. Just the technology, all of it. He sees it on TV, but it's different.
Yes, and he thinks that he knows majority of everything, and he'll like to tell you something. And once he gets out and actually sees how things work, and even the prices of things, you know, he thought that you could get a gallon of milk for $1. You can't get a gallon of milk for $1. Or the price of gas. Everything is different. You've been in there almost 3 decades, so it's going to be a whirlwind when he gets out.
Yeah, and what it's going to take is some time to just do nothing, right? To just come home and get used to the idea of being able to take a shower when you want to take a shower,
Right.
not when you're told.
Right, or
a
eat.
meal, you know, to go eat, or to, as like he said, he goes, I can't even imagine what real food tastes like. He hasn't had, you know, a meal of his choice
Right.
in 30 years.
Yes. Definitely a lot to look forward to.
Yeah.
A lot for him to look forward to, and ease back into society gracefully. So.
What's running through your heart and your head right now?
You know, my heart is pumping, just excitement. Finally knowing that this is the news that we've been fighting and longing for years. And I mean, I'm 27. I've only met my uncle a handful of times, but I speak to him every day on the phone. So I can't wait to actually be able to drive over, have him drive over, and go on vacations together or go on trips together. It's an exciting feeling.
Real time.
Yes.
Real time, not
Yes.
time in the prison. I've sat with them in prison,
Right.
and you get to talk, but it's not the same.
No.
And on the phone, it's recorded, and it's not the same.
Yes.
But this will be real.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, we're going to wrap up our coverage for now. We're waiting on Rick Wershey, who's certainly going to give Gabby a call, you know, as soon as he's able to. And he said he's going to give us a call as well. So we will. When we get that phone call, we'll come back and bring you Rick's reaction to today's parole hearing, and we will have much more. Ralph is going to be here momentarily. He's going to be able to go into the real process of getting into Florida.
Right.
That's not going to be easy to try and get a sentence changed, to try and do that, and
Right.
We did that. Do it again. Okay. All right. We're
Actually, let's just we're gonna trade.
okay. All right. Karen Drew's going to jump in. Karen Drew's going to jump in so we can talk about get ready for the noon, and you're going to stay for a minute.
talking to you.
Karen's
Oh,
going to
okay.
keep talking.
You're a superstar.
All right.
We're gonna. There you go, Karen.
All right.
I'm going to unhook from this.
Can I do that?
If you want to plug in that side, please.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Very good.
Okay, if you guys want to give me IFB, just let me know. Yeah, there's nothing. No IFB, that's fine. Okay, hey everybody, Karen Drew. I was busy talking with your other family members on the other side of the newsroom.
It's a lot going on, a lot of emotions.
I was talking to Dominique.
Yes.
She's 30 years old, Rick's niece.
Yes.
And I didn't realize, I thought, I'm like, you're 30, he just served 30 years. So he went in when she was 9 months old.
Yes.
And this literally, she was kind of explaining it, like it's literally like she gets a new life.
Yeah.
She gets a family, she gets an uncle. She was sharing with me, it sounds strange, but family prison stories. How
yeah.
they would go visit in Florida
Right.
and do certain things. And this changes everything, clearly.
Oh, I mean,
I'm at a loss for words in terms
Yes.
of what you're first thinking those first few days and weeks are going to be like.
I mean, just I can't even imagine the amount of emotions that are going to be had the day that we get to see him actually walk out of that prison and take him home with us, or to share his first meal with him.
I was talking to his mom and I said, what are you going to do? What are you going to make? And it dawned on her, she goes, you know what, I don't know what he likes.
Yeah.
And it made her sad because she said, I knew what he used to like, but it's been
Right.
30 years. I don't know. Do I make the pasta? Do I make the meatloaf?
Right.
I mean, it's a whole new world.
He's
Granted,
gonna-
whatever she makes would be fine.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure. Lots of excitement. Lots of excitement. This is amazing, amazing news that has been longed for, and I only wish that my grandfather, his father, could be here, but he's with us today.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. For other people, they see this case and they say, well, he came up for parole before. I mean, I think there's a couple things that were different. Clearly the spotlight,
Yes.
clearly national attention,
Yes.
clearly, I mean, obviously Kevin Deese has done so many different reports, just in terms, and it wasn't that he was necessarily picking sides. He was just reporting facts of, you're sentenced for this crime, you're sentenced for this
Right.
crime. It was clear
Yes.
his sentence was way beyond. What was your reaction to every time he was denied?
You get excited, and then that gets ripped away from you, and you get excited but cautiously excited, and that gets ripped away. So this was a very, very scary process going into this. Do I get my hopes up and think that he could come home, or do I think, you hate to be negative, but do I think that they're gonna keep him? And in the back of my head, I knew this was it.
Like when you went to bed last night, if you even got any sleep, were you thinking this is going to be different this time, or were you just walking in saying,
you know what?
I can't let my heart be broken again?
I went to bed last night manifesting in my head that today was going to be an amazing day and we would get the news that we've longed for, and we did. So my positivity.
You felt like the positive energy.
Yes.
Did
If
everyone
I
in
put
the
that
family
out
feel
there,
that, or was there more people that were cautiously optimistic?
They were cautiously. I mean, I'm not going to say I was cautiously optimistic up until the last 2 days, and I said I just need to have that positivity and know that this is it. And
What was the last time you talked to him, and what was the conversation like?
I spoke with him last night.
Oh, you did? It was
Yes.
last night. Okay.
Yes, I spoke with him last
Whew.
night, and you could hear the nervousness in his
Yeah.
voice a little bit, and he said, "I'm not sleeping tonight." He knew that he wouldn't get any rest until he heard the verdict, but he sounded excited and happy to know. I don't know if I could say happy, but to know that his fate was in their hands
Right.
tomorrow. He would get that decision that's going to factor into how the rest of his life is spent.
And I know the system, the way it works, if you're granted parole, you don't necessarily get granted parole and
No.
walk out the door the very next day. It happens within 30 days, but boy, those next 30 days are going to be really challenging too.
Yes, it's going to be hard. You know, as much as we hoped that we could get this
Yeah.
verdict and he could be home with us today.